Again, I certainly have urged people, if you are thinking about getting your season ticket, thinking about renewing, please do. The only way the club's going to move forward is if we've got some money in the coffers. And, in terms of average attendance, I've already spoken about that as well last week. It's probably going to dip for the first time in our 7-year history. The last thing we want to do is have a dip in season tickets. I noticed Raymond today, the club put out a tweet saying that 60% of the applications they've got so far are from new applicants.
Well, that's quite an encouraging sign to start off with. It's I think, as you say, if you got a season ticket, well, really, unless you can't make a significant amount of the games, or you're really that put off by whether it's the hockey or other commitments or that, you're going to get one. So, and I know some folk are a wee bit unhappy, or they're just maybe a wee bit, they think it's gone stale. I think, well, still get your ticket. If you want to hold back your other spending, well, fair enough. But I'm definitely going to get my ticket and get it renewed. And yeah, I'm the same as you. I encourage everybody to do the same. And it's the great thing. It's one of the good things about this league. No matter how good or bad a year you have, the next year can just be totally different. And it's a lot of changes to the squad. And it gives you a chance to refresh things if things need some freshening up or need changing. And I think we need a couple of wee changes to shaping things up a bit. And I'd say, go for it.
Yeah, and there's 2 new teams coming in next year. That'll make things interesting. We also don't know exactly who's going to be in our conference next year. As we suspect, there's going to be 6 teams. That means that we're going to have an addition. Whether Belfast come in to make up the 6 teams, or whether they swap it about a bit, and there's been a rumour going about Manchester would go down south and Sheffield and Belfast would come in, and there's all sorts of permutations. It's going to be different next year. The repetition of games, we certainly, if it's a 6 conference league, we'll only be playing our own conference 3 times, home and away, and the other conference 2 times home and away. So it's going to be different next year. They froze the prices, so I think what the platinum's 500, the gold's 420, silver's 380, bronze 330, and that's you getting 27 games. Certainly for the bronze one, 27 games, £330 is an early bird. That's a good deal, isn't it? And as Raymond says, Jennifer, every year can change because of the nature of recruitment. We're going to have a turnover of players. There's going to be players that are going to leave because we want to change them. There's going to be players that will leave because they might get better offers. And it's going to be a different makeup of a team next year. And everybody starts from scratch again, and you just never know. As I was saying to the guys, kind of off air before we kind of came on, it's just Rule 5 that worries me after my blog I put out this week. The club reserve the right to deny any season ticket holder entry to Braehead. I'm wondering if my season ticket application might get lost this year. I don't know. I put a blog out basically, and I wasn't really particularly focusing on the DJ Andrew Goldberg. If you're listening, I'm apologising to you. I'm not having a go at you as particular. I use the DJ as an example. To me, anybody that thinks that, forget on ice stuff just now, anybody that thinks that off ice has been a garden of roses this year has got it all wrong, in my opinion. But no, it's not been terrible, but it's been bad enough, that it's compounded onto some of the early season off ice stuff. I mean, I drive Graham crazy because I'm quite moderate. I'm quite, in terms of the clan, I'll kind of defend them. To me, I mean, Raymond, this is a season that I expected us as kind of our average season. Maybe we could have won a wee bit more against the Airhars, and Muggy could have. I mean, Fife have been, for some reason, we've taken more games than usual off of Fife and stuff. But in the whole finishing 4th, 5th, and getting that conference win is basically what our season really, in the big scheme of things, should be. So, in terms of playing on the ice, I think the expectations were raised when we came close to winning the league a few years ago. And, we've probably spoken about this before, but I just think the off ice has been nothing. It's not been up to the standards that we're kind of used to this year. And the thing that scares me is nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to be the one that says, hold on a wee minute, this isn't really good enough. This isn't, this isn't good, because it's like when you think back to when the Bank of Scotland went tits up. Fred Goodwin was the CEO of that, but he wouldn't have anybody around about him that had the guts to say to him, this isn't working. What you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. Because everybody just said, yeah, Fred, you're the top guy. You're just doing brilliant, and that's why it went belly up. And you can't surround yourself with people that just say yes, everything's wonderful. And to me, anybody that thinks everything's wonderful just now is just whistling Dixie. That it's not wonderful. It's not. There's been mistakes made. I mean, you only have to think, cringeworthy stuff like Rod Stewart, cringeworthy stuff like putting gifs up of oral sex stuff. You just think it's just weird. Is it? It's not. It's not on. We can't. And if nobody mentions it, if everybody just says, yeah, it's cool, everything's groovy. And that was the motivation for it. I mean, I don't know. Graham kind of said to me when he read it, I was quite easy on them, and I suppose I was. But at the same time, I still stand by the things I wrote. I still stand by it and say it's not. We need to do better. There's some people who will just say everything's rosy in the garden, nothing the clan can do wrong. Do you know that's been going on by some people for 7 years? See, at that point, your opinion then becomes, it's not worth noting, because you just know that you don't really have an opinion. You're just defending a stance, a position. You're just lucky to have hockey, be happy about it. I'm going to sound like Graham, Jennifer, aren't I? And I've been windbagging on for a while.
You're going in a diatribe, yeah.
Yeah, so please interrupt me and have a wee say if you're on.
The one thing I will kind of add into like kind of what you've said, obviously there was a bit of a hoo-ha about the season ticket and identification, and I mentioned this the other week as well. That was the first time that the club had actually come out and held their hands up, say, look, we got it wrong, this is how it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? If it had been like that the whole season, look, we've got it wrong, let's move on, then I think the attitudes would be different. But I think there's been so much swept under the carpet and not addressed, and I think that's why people are thinking the way that they are thinking just now, and that's why I think your blog has basically got it absolutely spot on, because you're only saying what the rest of us are all thinking.
The thing is as well, even if you think things are going fantastically, and I'm just talking about in general, not this season, but even if you think things are going well and like things are as good as they can be, they're not. You can always improve, and
yeah.
You look at Manchester, everyone says how they get their PR and their advertising and everything's spot on, but they're always looking at ways to get extra things out of fans. No like money or anything like that, but like using fans as examples of what they've got, and like sending Eric Nielsen out all the time doing all this charity work, and so they're always trying to get their name and brand out there. And we've really not done that this season. We've been resting on our laurels. Just think, no, it's fine. We'll still get the 3,000 or whatever through every week, and everything's hunky-dory. And it really hasn't been hunky-dory at all. And
Stephen, you're absolutely spot on with that as well. And when we interviewed Neil Russell, he actually did say that when he signs players, he tells them, if you're buying into this, you're buying in and you're doing everything for the club. So I think when that's put to you before you'd even signed a contract, that you need to get involved with these sort of things. I mean, you've heard stories of our OSC nights out and stuff like that, where players have kind of all shied away, whereas Neil Russell's been quite firm and has kind of said, if you're going to play for this club, you're going to basically do the lot for us. And I think that's what's made the difference for them.
Yep. Raymond?
I think part of the reason things off ice have went a wee bit sideways is some of the ideas the clan make. It seems to be just kind of off the cuff and in a bubble without talking about it to someone or putting it out there and saying, oh, what do you think of that? No, we'll just do it. It'll be great. Let's see. And it kind of, more often than not, it seems to fall flat in its face. And then I think the sort of other thing is when somebody does kind of raise a contrary opinion, they kind of get trampled up and down on, and that puts them off kind of voicing their opinion again. There's still a wee bit of an element of that out there. And I think as well, another thing that's put folk off, when we had that wings on our heels thing or whatever that was, it took so long to get rid of that. It probably thought, well, if it takes that long to get rid of a daft chant before the game starts, then, well, why should I bother raising anything else? So I think it's a combination of small things that eventually add up. And I I thought your blog was very good. I thought it addressed a lot of the things that was kind of on our minds, as Jen was saying. And yeah, we need to start freshening things up, but at the same time, keeping in mind, you don't just change for change's sake. You don't need to keep changing everything every single year. Just a wee refresh or swap every so often. And I've said to folk in the match nights, I know we've got this sort of beach ball thing, we've got the chuck a puck, we've got shoot for loot and all the rest of it. And I said, well, that's great, have all that, but maybe mix it up every week. Like 1 week's chuck a puck, the other week's the beach ball thing, the other week's shoot for loot. Just mix up a wee bit. Just have a nice wee portfolio of ideas, and you can just rotate them in and out as things need refreshed. And I would be more happier of more ideas just kind of swapped in and out as needed.
See, the thing for me, and again, it's maybe being a bit critical, and I don't know who these decisions come down to. I don't know who is in charge of what and when and whatever. But see what you're talking about, even with the season tickets, Jen, to me, it's like, when you think about, I mean, Graham, I was going to do something about 4 or 5 weeks ago, maybe, and I put it out in the chat thing, and you all had a wee say, and kind of talked me out of it, and I didn't do it, because I kind of thought, well, maybe it isn't a good idea. That's what should be happening at the Clan. If somebody says, hey, let's have a tweet about Rod Stewart, surely there's got to be somebody there going, I don't know, that's a good idea, because this could happen, that could happen. Somebody has to be able to see it, and it's like the season tickets. Why ask everybody for photo ID when you don't need it? Surely when there's a fan base who are kind of ready to moan about things at the moment, and as soon as you put that out, somebody must have the foresight there to think, do we really need to do this? Is this really a good idea? As you said, Raymond, you hit the nail on the head for me. Things just seem to happen on a whim. Oh, yeah, that's a cracking idea, let's do it. And it's not always, I think they've got to always be thought through. And I think it's difficult, when you're so close to it. I mean, when I first said, I won't tell you what I suggested doing. I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
I've no idea, and I'm curious.
You don't remember? You were involved in the conversation, and you did make a contribution. Anyway, whatever it was, since Stephen can't remember, we'll talk about it later. If I had been left to my own devices, I probably wouldn't have even done it, and I think I probably would have regretted it. And I'm glad, kind of like you guys kind of talked me out of it in a gentle way. And I think that's what should be happening. I mean, when you're close to something and it's your idea, it's easy to think that it's a good idea and everybody will get what you're trying to do. You might be doing things with the best of intentions, but sometimes it might not come across that way. And I think you've got to have people there who are able to say to you, nah, I don't think that'll work. You might come across, I think what Graham said to me, without getting ideas of what it was, you'll come across as if it's poor me and you're looking for sympathy, and that really wasn't my intention at all. But when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, it probably would. So it's just an example to me of how working with things in a group should work. Now, and I don't know how they come to the decisions, but I think there should be a dynamic there. And whether it happens, I don't know if it's worth them getting together and having a fans council. And I don't just mean the OSC as such, because, you've got to have people in it who are willing to, who aren't starstruck and are willing to go against the grain. And that's not easy to do a lot of the time, isn't it? It's not easy to do, going against the grain and just saying, putting your hand up and being prepared to be the one that says, do you know, I don't think this is good. It's a hard thing to do. But you're chuckling away there, Stephen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying, the weird thing is that this season there seems to be more off-ice staff than I ever remember. They got Tracy in, a few other people in. It still seems that despite all those off-ice people, there's just one person making the decision, as you said. And I will also say, I don't think we're at the point of no return.
I think definitely not.
This season's been poor, but it's not as if there's irreparable damage done or anything like that. It's just a few tweaks, and we'll get back on track.
Do you think if we had, just to say hypothetically, we'd won the league, do you think we'd even be talking about the Rod Stewart thing?
No.
But that's the whole thing, though, isn't it, Raymond? For me, if we knew pretty early on this season was going to be a bit of a miss in terms of winning the league. My point into it as well in the blog was, if things aren't going so well on the ice, you make sure your off ice is spot on, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the one thing you can guarantee it. You can't guarantee wins and trophies, but the one thing you can guarantee if you put the work in is that you can have a slick, good off-ice operation that entertains and services the fans well. And it's just an absolute must, and it's got to be game in and game out. You can't really afford to have an off night in these kind of things. You can't be like the players in that regard. Otherwise,